Hey, Carl. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing well.
Lovely to see you.
Nice seeing you. Actually, this is what I wanted to check. It looks like that's good to do live on Facebook, but there's my daughter.
Bing
Hey,
bong.
Whimsy. Yeah. Hey, Whimsy.
What's the Facebook page I need to go to?
Oh, the Facebook site
Yep.
is Smoky Joe Wood.
No E and Smoky.
Yeah, SMOKY.
Okay, I'm on the page.
Okay, I haven't started it yet. I figured I'd give it started up about 20 after, 25 after.
Yep.
We're so cutting edge.
What?
We're so cutting edge.
And I'll just mute myself and just relay stuff.
And if you have any questions on Murcer, Mantle, Maris, feel free.
You
Chip right
can't
in.
see it. I'm rolling my eyes at you.
And fortunately, we have the authors, so we don't have a copyright issue, Sarah.
Oh, shut up. I'm done with
Carl,
that.
you would not believe the stuff we've been going through with copyrights on music for church. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What, people want to get paid for you singing their songs?
Of course. And I mean, there's organizations you can buy per year, pay them a fee, and it's okay to play music by the publishers that they're associated with. Okay, but they cover certain types of music, and you could copy the music, but only certain ways. Yeah, it's it's amazing. It is truly amazing to try to be legal. And then I guess with the COVID relief package they signed in December, Congress put in a change to the copyright law that if you're found in violation, and I can't remember if it's like 10 times in 3 months, it's considered a felony.
This is to keep composers and music sellers happy.
Performers, composers, publishers, to get a payment. I mean, they put in the work.
Yeah, they've got a problem. People are always stealing their stuff, right?
Yeah. So
how's this light in back of me? Is that a problem? See that light?
It's a little bright. It sort of washes out the left side of your face a little bit. Actually, what you need is one in front of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess I could turn those towards me.
They actually have webcam lights now. They're like circular lights, and you have the camera, and this way it illuminates, so you look really pretty.
Oh, I don't know if I want to look pretty, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, I know I have a lamp that the arm goes down, but I can also put it and shine it in my face, which I'll just do because normally when I'm actually have to be on camera, there's a window behind me. So I get the brightness from that, so I got to cancel it out with light to the front.
I think Carl disappeared there. I see your ceiling.
There we go. Better to put a ton of light on me right there. Let's see how this goes. The great thing about my shot is you can't tell how messy my room is.
I held a meeting on Tuesday down in my basement.
And you set your shot up nice, I'll bet.
Oh no, they could see, pipes, and because one of the persons goes, "Are you in your basement?" Yeah.
Darn right I am.
But something to consider once we get together again. I still think we we know how to do it. It's getting the equipment to do it, but to be able to live broadcast a meeting to Facebook.
Oh,
We
yeah. Yeah.
We could discuss it sometime, but we need the equipment. And we also, wherever we hold it, we need to be able to have a very, a high speed upload to the internet.
Tom, I'd be surprised if MCC didn't have a really good, what do you call it? Wireless connection. You would think a university.
I would think most libraries do, universities would, but I know our church does.
Steve is here.
Steve, he's just connecting with audio now.
Sarah's got a cat up.
No,
Is that her? Is that Sarah's kitty?
that's one of ours.
How many
And
do you-
and when I log in, if I put up, don't show a video, myself, you see the other cat. Hey, Steve.
Oh, you're muted, Steve.
You're on mute.
Thank you. How
Hey,
you all doing?
we're
Good, how
doing
are you?
well.
Good. How'd you like the snow?
I'm ready for spring.
Me too. I think it should be 80, sunny and dry year round. In other words, permanent baseball weather.
Yeah,
That's what they used to say in Texas.
that's right. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's awful
I
down
think
there.
they're having a harder time than we are from what I'm hearing.
Well, it's just, 2-3 days with no power and temperatures down in single digits is pretty ugly.
Yeah, good point, Tom. Well put.
I
It's all going to
remember.
be. It's
Yeah,
all going to
go-
be okay. Tom Cruise. What's his name? Ted Cruz is on his way back from Cancun. He'll fix everything.
You bet.
Really? That's a good one. Good line there, Carl. So Sarah Manito, is that your cat or isn't it your daughter?
Yep, that's one of our cats. I'm just here for doing tech stuff, so I'm mostly going to keep myself muted and relay stuff from
Yeah.
Facebook.
When we get ready, we're going to try to stream this session over to Facebook. So she'll keep an eye
Okay.
over there. If we get it
Good.
to, okay. So this way,
Yeah,
this will,
at the upper left that this is being recorded.
yes, it is.
That's good, because maybe people might want to view it if they couldn't be there live.
But if we stream it, if it works going to Facebook, they could also see the whole thing on our Facebook site, as long as we don't
Nice.
delete it. So
That's
they can
good.
go there rather than having to get a Zoom connection.
Nice. That's good. Now, I don't know if we settled on the order of the speakers.
I hear Aaron's going first.
That's good.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to give them like 45 minutes, including Q&A.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's what I thought we were agreed to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think Alan told Neil he could log in somewhere around 7 o'clock. So
Okay, good. All right. I see it looks like the Zoc man, our Dodger fan is here.
hey, they're going to have competition with San Diego now that they signed. Did you see that contract that Tatis signed?
Yeah, that's amazing.
14 years, 300+ million.
Gee. Yeah, that's a good one, Tom. That's quite the contract.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good point that hey Tom, how are you?
Can't hear. You're on mute, Tom.
Hello,
Hey,
hi
Steve.
everybody.
Hey, Tom.
How you
So-
doing?
By the way, Sarah, take a look at Tom's library. Now that's all baseball books, but
Right.
total books, he rivals you, dear.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a few books here.
Often known as the Library of Zoc.
Right. Few books here.
Just one or
Not a
two.
not a bad thing there, Tom.
Oh, it's a good thing.
I agree.
Hey,
Steve,
hey,
how's
Steve.
Bob?
Hey, Steve, can we talk for a second about Aaron Gaberman?
Please do, Carl. Go ahead.
Okay, so Aaron Gaberman's story is not that he wrote a book about Murcer. It's that when Gaberman was 11 and Murcer got diagnosed with brain cancer, he was an 11-year-old kid and he sent Murcer a letter because he had just beaten brain cancer himself, the kid did. And miraculously, the letter got through all the screeners. It gets to Murcer, and Murcer becomes a person who's very present in Aaron Gaberman's life. And to the extent that when Bobby Murcer has his memorial service, the leadoff speaker is the 13-year-old Aaron Gaberman. And he's there with Jeter and Pettit and Girardi and a whole bunch of other people before a big crowd, and he's just a kid. And so that's really kind of what it's about. He had not a baseball relationship, but a professional relationship, or not a professional, a friendship relationship. And so I've got a couple of PowerPoint pages to put up while Aaron's talking, and it's the letter that he wrote when he was 11 that Murcer responded to. And it's actually shot right out of Mercer's book, his a Yankee Forever or whatever it was. So the idea is basically to tee it up for Aaron to talk about that experience that he had. He's going to read the letter. I'm going to share it on the PowerPoint page and see where it goes and do Q&A. But that's kind of the background on Aaron.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm sorry if I misunderstood that. I thought he'd written the book, so I appreciate the clarification.
Hey, no problem. I only brought it up because, it is your role to lead the meeting, so I wanted you to know what you needed to know to set it up and make it work. And if I can help in some way, let me know. Okay.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that.
Okay, man.
Well, it
Hey,
should be a good
I got a quick
night.
question. Sarah, are you seeing us on Facebook?
Yes, I'm seeing you on Facebook.
Okay.
I am gonna mute my Facebook because otherwise I'm gonna be hearing you all twice and I'm gonna go nuts.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
So,
Let me see see what it looks like.
oh, it looks like I have to join the group in order to be able to interact, which I'll need to do. So, hang.
So Sarah, is the cat a SABR member?
I haven't decided. I don't know. If it was the other cat, definitely not. This one might be.
All right, good. And hello, Bruce, and hello, Stan. And Neil is evidently going to show displays of like things he's done. Like, because remember, we had that panel discussion at the Waterbury Museum a few years back.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay, Sarah, I approved you.
Yes, Bruce, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, how are you?
Good, hanging in there. How are you?
Doing all we can.
That's all. Yep.
There you go.
Not baseball weather out there.
Sadly, no.
Hey, Tom Benito, I'm not seeing a share button here to share the PowerPoint pages with.
You don't have one, huh?
I don't see one. No, I really don't. There's a
That's
share.
interesting because you know what? I don't see it either.
There's a share content button, but then the message pops up. Only the host can share in this meeting. So I'm not the host, so I can't share it.
Yes, and I could change that. Hold
Okay.
on.
All right.
Hi, Alan, and hi, Aaron. Welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Hey,
How we doing?
good. How about you?
Now, does Neil have something likewise that he's gonna share in terms of, we know he's had displays of like New York and Boston and stuff like that.
Neil has sent stuff to Tom. He sent stuff to me. I think we're pretty much set there.
Yeah, and
Good.
Alan, if you wanted to share instead of myself, I gave you the ability, and Carl also has the ability to share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And Sarah, could you see us on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, so the meeting's going out to Facebook. Good.
good.
I gotta find, I lost my screen. Golly,
Uh-oh, what happened to you, Carl?
I accidentally minimized Zoom. Now I'm trying to find it.
Oh, yeah. And
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
yeah.
Oh, shit.
Hearing
And
Carl.
and Carl, you look the same on Facebook, by the way.
Thank you, buddy.
Mhm.
By the way, welcome Bruce to our meeting.
Thank you. Is that Carl?
Hey, Bruce, it's Carl here. How are you?
I'm good. Carl, how are you? I can't see you right now because you're hiding.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my my icon for Zoom. I accidentally minimized it. Where the heck is this thing? I know it, right?
Hope you
Well, you
find,
know what? I think I'm gonna get out and get back in. That's probably the easiest way to go if I can.
yeah,
Okay.
I've had to do that on occasion.
Oh, with God.
And, Bruce, is that a Cincinnati red shirt you're wearing?
No, that's the Stratomatic shirt.
Oh, nice.
Good. Maybe you could do a presentation about that sometime, because a number of us like Stratomatic.
No, I might be able to do
Good.
that. Eagerly awaiting my my new order that they get shipped out tomorrow.
What did you order?
I ordered the 2020 season cards.
Oh, okay.
I ordered both their imagined set and their actual stats. And I had to get my hands on 72 as well.
Okay, good.
I've been replaying 74, the American League. That's been a lot of fun.
Sounds like something you could report to us on.
I could, if you go into, I've actually placed some stats in the SABR forum. And I'm happy to share a link to my OneDrive where all my stats are.
Sounds like a good idea to do that.
Sure, why not? Happy to do it. Sure, why not? Hi, Tom. How
Please
are
do.
you? I see you down there in the corner.
So Gary, welcome, and David Wilk and Frank Collins. So the ranks are swelling. Stan the man, how we doing?
Hi, Steve. I just did what Carl just did. I just signed one in, one out just to make sure I was in okay.
Glad
Yep, you're
you're
looking
here.
good.
That Bruce McClure over there, I've been emailing him the last couple of days about a Stratomatic.
Yep.
How you doing, Bruce? How you doing, Bruce?
And hello, Michael Frank.
And Mike Bender's coming in.
Good.
Oh, so that's okay. So now I just learned how to figure out where everybody is here on the Zoom, mate. I see you, Steve.
You should go into stadium mode. You could see everybody if in the upper right-hand corner where it says view.
Okay, I'm on a tablet.
Yeah, okay. You should still be able to go into stadium mode.
Oh, I'm a Luddite.
Like the Brady
Oh,
Bunch.
you could do that, Tom. That's interesting.
Yeah, in the upper right-hand corner, it should show view. And if you click on that, you have speaker or gallery mode is what I meant to say.
It's called gallery mode. Okay.
And
Yeah,
this way
I'm seeing speaker view up there, if that's what you mean.
Now, speaker will just show who's ever talking.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, let's see here.
A lot of high tech. And David Scrivens, welcome.
And just so you guys know, we also did something a little different today. We're streaming this session out to our Facebook Live group site. So in theory, when we're done, you can go out and view it again or view any part of it. You could watch it from there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, Tom.
And I think we have on our Facebook thing well over 100 people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
That's good. Well, shall we get started, everybody?
Sure, why not?
We got Raymond coming in.
Oh, okay. Where's Matt Manito tonight?
I think he's with he's zooming with a group of friends tonight. He does something every Thursday with a
okay.
church that he belongs to.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Boy.
Welcome, Ray Sikora and Steve Wissensell. There'll probably be more people coming in, so
I'll admit them. Steve, if you want to introduce our first speaker, and I'll shut up and just the only thing is, you know, if you have a question, as long as the speaker doesn't mind, I'm not muting anybody. You could just unmute yourself. I figure, you know, we're all adults and just show courtesy.
okay. Well, thank you, Tom Manito, for handling the tech along with his daughter, Sarah. So I'm Steve Kravisky, and welcome everybody. So I think we've got two good speakers who will entertain you. And so Aaron Gaberman is here, who has a longtime friendship with Bobby Murcer, evidently both as cancer survivors, and a friendship developed that I think will be of great interest to all of us. So Aaron, please take it away. And so you have about 45 minutes, including Q&A. And nice to have you here, and welcome to our Connecticut SABR chapter.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Carl, for allowing me to come on today. I was kind of surprised. You know, I actually know Dave Wilk. He was actually my Little League baseball coach back in the day when I was on the Pelicans, long time ago. But we know the family really well, so it's really good to see him too. Yeah, so my name's Aaron Gaberman. I grew up locally in Weston, Connecticut. You know, I would say that, you know, I've been a longtime baseball fan my entire life. I grew up loving the Yankees. I was born and raised Yankees fan, as you know, we're like 20 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes away from New York City. Big baseball fan, big Yankee fan. You know, I've been playing baseball my whole life, ever since up to high school, and then but the big thing was, you know, I was diagnosed with pediatric brain cancer back in 2005. And I've been cancer free for 15 years so far. And I was the third kid in the country to receive a clinical trials case. And after my third, after 2 cycles of chemotherapy that I received, the tumors were completely gone. I was treated at NYU Medical Center. And then I had to get radiation in Boston, Massachusetts. I got proton beam radiation there. It's an interesting story of how I came to meet Bobby. It was on New Year's Eve. It was about a year after I'd been going through treatment. So I just turned like 11 years old around. I was 11 years old around the time, or a little younger than that, when I found out that Bobby was actually diagnosed when it came on the Yes Network, because I always watched the Yes Network. I always heard him on television all the time with Michael Kay and Ken Singleton and all those guys. And I found out that he had cancer. And you know, obviously watching him in the studio, you know, was awesome all the time. I knew he was a former baseball player, but I really didn't know much about him at the time, besides that he was a commentator. He played, you know, I did hear about how he was the guy that hit the walk-off home run after the day of Thurman Munson's funeral. But I I didn't really know much about him until then, but as a person that has beaten cancer, I thought, well, I might as well write the man at least a letter to maybe see if he'll actually respond. That like it's rare that you'll get celebrities to kind of reply back, because I didn't know his personality. I only knew that from watching him on TV that he was a joyful man, really nice guy. But I wrote him a letter. So I mean, Carl, if you want to put it up now, you can. I
could put it up.
Yeah.
Or-
Tom, if you could put it up, that'd be great.
I also have it in his book, so I can read it too.
Hold on
But
just a
if you
second.
guys-
Good job.
Yeah.
You all see that?
Yeah.
And so this is when Bobby was in MD Anderson Hospital. I sent him a letter and a package over to him. And I wrote kindly, "Dear Mr. Murcer, hello, my name is Aaron Gaberman. I read an article about you going to MD Anderson to have surgery for a brain tumor. MD Anderson is a great place to get surgery. My cousin Ronnie's friend Murray works at the cancer center as an oncologist. He gave me a list of vitamins to take after radiation. I know that you will be okay because I had 2 brain tumors myself when I was 10 years old. Dr. Allen at NYU treated my tumors with chemo and radiation. The tumors went away after 2 cycles of chemo, but I had to get all 6 cycles and 6 weeks of radiation in Boston. It is now 1 year after my treatments, and I'm cancer-free. I start growth hormone treatments in January at NYU so I can grow. Here's a list of things that helped me get through my journey with my cancer, and I hope they will help you get better from your journey. Number 1, listen to peaceful music. I've sent you a CD by a brain tumor survivor just like me, just like us, for you to listen to. Number 2, be brave, just like the New York Yankees. Number 3, never give up. This is what I've learned from Lou Gehrig and Derek Jeter. Number 4, have a positive attitude. Number 5, always pray to God to help you get better. Number 6, watch the Yes Network and Yankee games. Number 7, play baseball and golf. Number 8, don't worry, your hair will grow back. And number 9, always have fun with your friends and family. Best wishes for a quick recovery. Your friend, Aaron Gaberman, cancer survivor, age 11. P.S. Get well soon.
Nice.
Most likely, like if you read the little part after that, it says that Kay would have said, Bobby said too, like most likely these kinds of letters would get thrown away or put aside. But the I didn't address the letter that I sent to him that said to Bobby Murcer. I said to the New York Yankees, and that's kind of where they kept it on file, and they sent it to their the hospital actually sent it to their relations staff, and Kay and Bobby started reading the letter, and they were tearing up, and they felt so overjoyed by the letter, and were so comforted by the letter that I sent and all the care packages and everything. So he decided to give me a call a few days later, and he called my house, but I was actually getting follow-up treatment. I had to get a follow-up treatment in Mass General that week, and so when he called, I left actually a specific voicemail on our voicemail saying, like, if this is Bobby Murcer, please contact my mom's cell at the time. If you want to chat or anything like that. And so he did, and we had a great conversation for the first time, and he ever since then we've just been following up. We followed up every week discussing, how's our treatment going and everything like that. You always started out every time like, hey partner, how's it going? And so we were just we're just checking up on each other all the time, via conversation over the phone or via email. And that's kind of where our friendship began. We just stayed in touch the entire time throughout then. And then one day I was able to go to the stadium and watch one of his broadcasts. So he took me up into the broadcast booth, and we got to chat for a little bit, and then I had to stay quiet, obviously, up there when they were live on air. So I was standing right behind him, behind Michael Kay and Al Leiter and Ken Singleton, and then him. And you know, even when Alex Rodriguez hit like a grand slam, it was against the Pirates, and you know, like my whole family was trying to cheer in the background, but I had to tell them, like, you got to keep quiet because they're live on air and we can't have any of the fan voices talking. So that, you know, that was one cool experience. That's where the picture that's on that was in the program of me and him that was in the booth that day, and then we went out to dinner. The funny thing is, I learned that if there's one thing that's that you know that I've learned from a lot of his close friends is that he's the most picky like restaurateur of all people I've ever met. Like we went out to dinner, and you know, I got like a steak, and he said, you know, I thought it was a little tough at the time, and he he said that it was you know, he called the waiter over, and he's like, no, this isn't good for him, take it back, give him something new, like, and everything. So I got a piece of chicken instead. It was like, you know, and you know, that was the kind of man he was caring. He always cared about one another. And you know, it was funny, Michael Kay kind of had a similar story of when they went out to Toronto, and they went out to a restaurant there, and it was like a very fancy restaurant, and he, you know, he complained as well, and the chef, like, the chef had to talk to the chef privately about it, and it was hilarious. But like, you know, I came to know Bobby on a personal level as, you know, a good, humble man that, you know, we were just cancer buddies in a way. Didn't matter on age. You know, he was, you know, I think anybody that you talk to, if you ask about Bobby Murcer, you'd think he was one of the greats in general. Great man, great player overall. Like, people didn't take a lot of credit for him because he came right after Mickey Mantle, and everybody, you know, had over assumptions that he was going to be, you know, he had to be the next Mickey Mantle. Obviously he wasn't, but you know, even though, like, you know, he didn't get in the Hall of Fame, I think to a lot of people that he's viewed as a true Hall of Famer just because of the man he was, and everything like that. And then so we stayed in touch for a long time. I stayed in touch with his wife and his kids. Tori and Todd are really, like, they live in Oklahoma as well, in Texas. And you know, Kay, then and then when he was battling his treatment, we got permission from him and his widow Kay, to add him to our title for our organization, Bernie and Mercer Friends for Life. So we created a nonprofit organization that helps create comfort backpacks for children battling cancer. And my mom wrote a children's book series as well. And the father dog is Mercer,
Oh,
because he, you know, he's the leader, he's the trooper, and then there's Bernie, who's the smaller, younger Bernice Mountain Dog, who's the younger one. But you know, it was great that we're able to use his name and keep his name, the Mercer name, going. I think, and then, you know, the day that we found out he died, because he actually beat cancer, which he beat brain cancer. You know, it was great. We were
Could you mute yourself, please? There you go.
Yeah, and then we were it was great that, you know, we got the news that he beat cancer, and then, you know, I think a month later or so, we found out that he died. He actually died of shingles.
oh,
Because his immune system was shot from the treatment. So I found out, actually, I was at my friend's house, and then I heard it over the Yes Network too, that they announced that he died. And immediately after, the day after or so, or even a few hours after we heard about the news, he his wife called us and asked if I could speak at his funeral, or as his celebration of life service. So we humbly accepted, obviously, and um, we went down. I had to write a speech and everything, and we went down to Oklahoma, and spoke at this massive church, because all the Yankees were in town at the time, because they were playing in Texas against the Rangers, and so we had to write. So we got to hang with the family the day before. Also, um, Mickey Mantle's family, the Munsons, every like Catfish Hunter's wife, widow. And so it was really fun. We got to meet Mickey Mantle's sons and the funeral, Danny and David, and we got to hold his old World Series ring from uh, I don't know which year, but it was incredible. Um, Obviously, it was like a solemn moment. So anytime I was meeting all these Yankee players, it was kind of kind of an awkward time. It's like, you're really like thrilled and excited, like, but at the same time, you're realizing that this is a celebration of life. There's no need to go jumping for joy over meeting these people that you're watching on TV or you've heard all about. Um, but I think we all, and then so the people that spoke, they selected I think 4 or 5 people to speak at his funeral, and I was one of them. And um, it was Michael K, me, an astronaut that he met, that flew on the International Space Station. And I guess they built a strong connection together. And then it was his son, and I think there's one more. Um, oh, and yeah, and his publicist Marty Appel. He's a pretty famous guy. So, uh, yeah, and it was Colonel Doug Lelock who was the space astronaut, and then I got to so I went like first. I wore my Yankees hat that day, and I wore my suit and everything, and it was I met all the Yankees pretty much. I met Derek Jeter, I met Andy Pettit, I met like all my childhood heroes, and
Wow.
it was a weird time, but um I think every story that came out of it, everybody had a different story. I was his cancer buddy, and then his publicist was throughout his career and post career. The astronaut had his own story with him, so we all have different stories that we all shared about Bobby in a different way. But I think we all came to love him, and funny thing, I always loved what he wrote in his book is that he'd take the duo of Gaberman and Murcer any day over Ramirez and Ortiz. So I'll take that any day of the week. But he's that kind of man. He's got a great sense of humor. He was one of the greatest people, like one of the nicest people I've ever met. And it was great that we were able to stay in touch with the family ever since. And I went out to upstate New York to see him get inducted into the New York Sports Hall of Fame last year, which was really cool. So that was really nice. So I got to see the family for the first time in a long, long time. So it was really great to see them again. But that he was just one of the nicest people I ever met. I got to know him, on a personal connection more than anything, and I think I was just blessed to know the man, and and we hope to just continue to um, you know, it was the New York Sports Hall of Fame. If you're asking for the question, it was in I think it was upstate New York. I don't know exactly where it was. The ceremony was, but yeah. So we it was yeah towards Syracuse area, but I think that was like that's how I got to know Bobby, and we stay in touch with the family all the time. And if you have and he was a great man, and I just hope that more people can understand, can see that Bobby was more than just the baseball player that I got to know him. I hope that can continue on going forward forever. So that's pretty much all I've got. But yeah, I'll be happy to take any of your questions.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
So, who would like to be the first to lead us off and ask something of Aaron?
Sure, I have a question. Aaron,
Carl.
want to tell us about your current career in communications?
Oh yeah, so sure. Obviously being friends with Bobby for a long time was also probably helped me propel me into this industry. But I'm currently the athletic communication coordinator over at Sacred Heart University. So I do their stats. I do write their recaps for do social media graphics, everything like that for our website, and obviously I'm their media relations correspondent for office director for probably say about 7 sports now. I've got men's hockey, softball, men's and women's soccer, swimming and diving, rugby, equestrian. I think that's all I've got right now, which is actually a lot less than I had when I was a GA there. I had like about 12 when I was a GA, but I'll take the less of the two. So I've been working in collegiate athletics for most of my life. I did my first ever internship at Sacred Heart when in 2015, and then I interned in our sports information department at Marist College, where I graduated from undergrad. I majored in sports communication as well, and then after I graduated from Marist, I did a 10-month internship over at Villanova, where I was the lead SID for 3 sports, as well as their assistant with their national championship basketball team that won that year. So that was really fun. I got to hold the national championship trophy for the first time. So that was really cool. Jay Wright's like the man. If you ever get to meet him, he's like one of the best. Pro's pro. And then I was a graduate assistant at Sacred Heart for a while, and then for 2 years, and then they laid off everybody due to COVID, but I stayed along because my GA contract didn't end yet, so I was still on staff, and because of the leadership role I took over those from March to September, they had decided to hire me full time in October of last year. So I really enjoyed it. I'm good friends with Bobby Valentine. In the office every day, brings the dog sometimes. But great guy to work for. One of the nicest. He's super nice too. He's always willing to help. He respects the hell out of what we do, which is great because we have 33 sports over at Sacred Heart, which is a lot because we just added women's wrestling recently. And dance is considered a sport now, a varsity sport. So we added that too. But so that's kind of what I do on this for my professional career.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions for Aaron?
I got a question.
Sure.
Ray, go ahead.
Okay. Aaron, first of all, great letter that you wrote to him. And it's not surprising to me that after what you put in the letter and made it personal and gave him some tips and all of that, I can see that he and others would look at that letter and say, we should take the time to answer you because you composed yourself well and just had a lot of very nice things put in there. I was curious to know, now you may have mentioned it, but when you sent the letter, about how long did it take before you got a response back from him?
I'd say it didn't take long. After I sent it, it probably took a few days to ship, and then probably I heard a week later from them.
So it was pretty quick then.
Yeah, it was pretty
Wow.
quick because because I'm pretty sure my mom wanted me to write it as soon as possible so we can ship it before we had to head up to Massachusetts. So I'm pretty sure it was a week before, so they got to it really quick.
Great. Thanks very much. Great,
Yeah.
Nice.
great
Good.
inspirational story that you were able to write. He answered you back and you formed a friendship and a bond that then led you to your career. And that's just a wonderful situation to be in.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Other questions for Aaron?
Aaron, I understand you're on the board of directors for a charity. You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm on the board of directors for Bernie and Mercer Friends for Life. So we create comfort backpacks that have special goods in them. Like we'll have the storybook, they're a backpack, some like kit and tools that we distribute to local hospitals. We're gonna try to start with we starting with NYU and where I got treated, Mass General and Yale. Those are like the 3 that we're gonna start with. But we distribute these backpacks to anybody diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, not just cancer. But you know, and also we've actually created like chemo bag covers as well, and then my mom's storybook series, which is about to get published in the next few months. Probably it'll be all set, ready to go, to at least download on. And then we also have a plush dog that goes in the backpack as well. So I sit on the board of directors for that. I also, you know, I've helped my mom with creating video content and stuff like that on the side for the foundation, and also just help with some creative ideas throughout the time. Just like and we've been doing like little side storybook series as well with it that we're working on as well. So and we're also just created a video game and like other ways of care packages so that kids can have some fun interacting like virtually these days due to COVID. It's like you can't really you know, distribute coloring books and stuff like that. So we're trying to create more virtual content they can get online for kids, especially because they're more interested in online stuff anyway. So we have a computer game that is out, and so that's really cool for them to also play. But yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Did Bobby Murcer's kids and did any of them play baseball?
I think Todd played a little bit, but I think that yeah, but they're more active golfers than anything. I think they got really into golf a lot. But I know actually in Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City College, I think, created a batting cage on their batting facility in his name, as well, on their campus. So I know that, but I don't think, yeah, it's just Tori and Todd are their kids. So I just know that and then actually his daughter recently just beat breast cancer recently as well, that I found out about.
I think David Wilk wanted to ask you something, and then I think Bob Wirtz also. David, if you could unmute, then you're welcome to go ahead.
David was having trouble with his microphone.
Yeah, we can't hear him.
Yeah, he just said, how's your curveball these days?
You know, I haven't thrown a baseball in a while. I'm not gonna lie. But you know, I still got it. I still have that slurve. You know, I think that was like my best. That was my best pitch. One of my best pitches when I was in Little League and AAU ball. I was solid with that. Every hitter that I faced hated me throwing that. And you know, eventually though, I had catchers that told me I threw it too much, so they kind of got used to it. So I had to kind of adjust it. But you know, I still got it. You know, I think my brother probably can throw a better curveball these days than I can. My brother and I both played for a long time.
Okay, good. Thank you. Bob Wirtz, I think you wanted to ask something, and you need to unmute, please. Please unmute yourself. Go ahead, Bob.
Up again.
To
You need
what?
to mute yourself.
Let me just see something here.
Lower left-hand corner, Bob, of your
Yeah.
screen.
Unless you're on an iPad.
There you go.
Bob, you're up at the plate.
I'm up at the plate. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to make mention of the fact that I've had the pleasure of working with Aaron and his mother at a couple of their events, fundraising events, and they're really nice, genuine people working hard at what they're doing. And Aaron, it's good to see you again. I didn't realize about the Sacred Heart linkage, and that's good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
That was all.
Thank you, Bob. Didn't Sacred Heart's basketball team make the NCAA tournament some years back?
Oh yeah, we won it back in I think we won the NCAA tournament back in '86 when we were Division II. It was a long time ago, but yeah, we still we've done that. We're actually one game out of first place right now in the we're actually one game out of first place in our conference right now in the Northeast Conference. After yesterday's win at Central.
Good luck with
Oh,
that.
that hurts. Aaron, that hurts. Come on, I'm a Central alum. That hurts.
Uh-oh, little rivalry here.
Come on.
Sorry, it comes with being in
Uh-oh.
the conference.
I gotta tell you, I used to work for the New Britain Rockcats.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, and
I've heard
the
of
Rockcats
them.
what's that?
I've heard of them.
You've heard of them once or twice?
Once,
Good morning,
yeah,
Alan.
yeah.
Well, a couple. One of the owners of the Britain Rockcats when I was there was Steinbrenner's lawyer,
Oh,
who had plenty of beautiful things to say about Bobby Murcer. So sitting here and listening to you and connecting those stories together, just terrific. Thank you.
oh yeah, thanks.
Good. Other questions, comments for Aaron?
Aaron, are the Yankees going to win number 28 this year?
No.
Oh, well, Tanaka leaving hurt. I think that hurt him a lot. They needed that extra arm. I think Kluber was too late. They got him too late in his career. They should have gotten him when he was actually on a roll. I'm glad they signed LeMahieu back, but boy, it's going to be an uphill climb. I mean, I'm glad Houston's pretty much out of it because they just dumped their entire team. Pretty well, Springer's gone, so he wanted to get out of there, and they're
tossed him out of the Britain Stadium when he was little.
Yeah,
he was a troublemaker one night.
Yeah, I remember. My uncle, Tony Bianca, if you've ever heard of him, New Britain guy. He was close friends with the Pavano family, and when Carl Pavano was got me to sign, what a waste of money that was. I'll tell you what, for the Yankees injury prone. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the Yankees, obviously, but it's gonna be an uphill climb because Tampa's good this year. There's a few other contenders, so it's up for grabs. But at least they got some pitching, I guess. Jameson Talion and Darren O'Day. So we'll see. See what happens.
By the way, speaking of Kluber and David, your coach's question, Kluber in his good days had the nastiest 12-6 curveball that he was almost unhittable. If he's got anything left, even remotely close to what he was, then I think it's a good pickup. But, it's hard to know for any of our teams, coming back from an injury, like for seeing my buddy Mark Wise, a big Red Sox fan, Chris Sale coming back from an injury, great pitcher when he was healthy. So sort of hard to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Sure.
Yeah, baseball is unpredictable. Injuries are always the worst.
You got that right. So, anybody else for questions or comments for Aaron before we start to move along here? But I was asking Sarah Manito if the cat is a SABR member. Oh, well. Well, listen, Aaron, thank you very much for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
See you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Aaron.
That's a great story about, the connection with you and Bobby. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate coming on today. I really thank you so much.
Feel free to stay
you'll
if
come
you have
back.
time.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I'll stay on. I'll just mute myself, but yeah. I'd be
Okay,
happy
good to
stay
have
on.
you here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Thank you. Next in the batting order is Neil Scherer, whom some of you know because Neil, you had that beautiful exhibit at the Waterbury Museum when we had that panel a few years ago. So welcome back, Neil, and you have the floor, and we look forward likewise to your remarks.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here with the SABR group. I'm glad some of you were able to make it to the Mattituck Museum a few years back. That was my first time being a curator, and it was a lot of fun, and we had a lot of success there. We actually had a few extensions, which I think spoke well to the show. Just a little bit about myself. I'm an attorney, although I only practice these days if my brothers and sisters are in trouble. So let's hope they have a quiet year, I tell people. I'm also an art dealer for about 30 years. And I've been a sports enthusiast since I can remember. As most young boys, my father was very influential. And I still remember the first game I saw was actually a football game between the New York Giants and Washington Redskins that ended up 71-42. And of course, that was a record-breaking game. And perhaps that's where I started to love being involved in displays with records and important games like that. What I do is basically what I call sports conversation art. And what it is basically telling stories, generally by adding numerous artifacts. Generally, you'll see a lot of people collect a single ticket, a single autograph, a single program, which I think is wonderful. We join many artifacts together to tell a story. And the idea actually started, believe it or not, because of the hated Red Sox. Of course, I know you're in Connecticut, so about half of you might be Red Sox fans, half of you might be Yankee fans. That was sort of the beauty of the Mattituck was we would get blue stars for people who were Yankee fans, and they would put it where they were located in Connecticut, and Red Sox fans would put a red star where they were. And it was interesting. I think the middle half of Connecticut South were more Yankee fans, and the middle area North were Red Sox fans. It kind of makes sense, actually. My idea really took fold because of the Red Sox. In the year 2004, as you remember, or the Red Sox fans certainly remember, Yankee fans don't remember, the Yankees were up 3-0, insurmountable lead, and the Red Sox came back, and I was actually at the stadium for Game 7, and my brother left around the 4th inning, 5th inning. We had season tickets. Although Yankees usually make a comeback, they weren't going to make a comeback that day. It was pretty evident pretty early. And Johnny Damon hit that grand slam, I believe, in the 1st inning and set the tone for the game. What I did, though, I stayed at the game and I spoke to a few of the Red Sox fans. By the end of the game, it was mostly Red Sox territory. You would have thought you were in Fenway. And I congratulated a few of the people there, and they were very nice. They were crying. A few people told me to get lost, but most of them were very thrilled. And they all said, I wish my father was here. I wish my grandfather was here. It meant so much to them. And what I did, I took the ticket from that game and I framed it very nicely. And I sent it to my best friend's father from my University of Wisconsin days. And I wrote on the back of it, Dear Mr. Sullivan, good Red Sox Boston name, congratulations on the victory. Enjoy it. It happens once every 86 years. And here was a man who had an incredible art collection. He had Edward Hoppers, he had Mondrian's, a very high level collection. He says to me, Neil, gosh, this is the greatest gift I've ever gotten. Don't tell Jeannie, that's his wife, but it was up to me. I tossed the artwork aside and put this in a place of honor it deserves. Now, I think he was half joking, but it made me think that if I could do something special, a little bit more than just typical memorabilia, and sort of be a storyteller, that maybe I have something here. And the first piece I actually did was Roger Maris, a 61 home run in 1961, where I had all the autographs of all the pitchers, great photo of Maris hitting his 60, the 61st, Sal Durante in it, things like that. And my friend who was a real estate person said, Neil, would take some of my paintings from time to time into her places that she was trying to rent or sell, just as sort of a part of the room. And she said to me at the end of the day, Neil, nobody cared about the room. They only cared about your display. They wanted to know if it came in the deal. So at that point, I started to think maybe I will at least show this to the public and perhaps sell these. And I moved on from that. And what happened was about 8 or 9 years ago, ABC News and others were doing a whole thing on Made in America, where if you, for businesses, showing that if you can promote your product as made in America, that it would be great for America. So I went up and down Madison Avenue, and I only had a couple of pieces at that time, and saying that you guys should maybe consider having some of my displays in it, because nothing says made in America more than baseball. And I was fortuitous. Steuben Glass, if you remember Steuben Glass, they had just signed a contract with Major League Baseball to have the All-Star MVP get a nice piece of glass from Steuben Glass. And they had this incredible gallery space, which probably cost $30,000 a month, whatever. And they said to me, Neil, can you fill this up? We'll give it to you for 1 month, no charge. I only had 2 pieces at that time, but I obviously said yes. And I scrambled like heck. And before you know it, I had enough pieces, and my 1 month show was so successful, it ended up being 9 months. So we changed the name from Bases Loaded to Extra Innings. I thought it was fitting.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. All the people coming in were not just sports fans, which I knew was almost a given. But I found the people that enjoyed my show the most were history lovers and art lovers. And if you think about it, I try to promote baseball as history, certainly part of American history. So when my shot happened at the Matatuck, I happened to be working on art projects with the curator there. And I just said to her, is this Yankee territory, Red Sox territory? And she said, it's kind of the dividing line. And I said, why don't you do a show? A week later, she called me up and she said, Neil, we'll do the show, but you got to be the curator. I said, wow. I'd never curated before, but I loved the challenge. And it was a lot of fun putting it there together. I wish the trip on the train was a little bit nicer, but I enjoyed going up there on weekends. And I met a lot of great people. I know some of the people who were viewing this had seen it too. So at this point, maybe I'll show you a couple of the pieces just to get going. I don't know if it's being shown, but the first one
I haven't put anything up. I don't know if you have.
Okay.
Okay,
No, that's fine. And I'll just describe them. I'm used to that.
I mean, I could bring. You want me to start with Larson or?
What do we? Do you have? Could you start off with the Mickey Mantle home runs ones, or anyone you put up there? I could talk about. It doesn't matter.
Okay, hold on, just a second.
Normally, I do these shows where I have all my pieces together, so it's a little different.
And I just messed that up. Hold on.
Oh, and that's it. By the way, that's the Roger Maris.
Here you go.
Okay, this is the Roger Maris piece, and there's the Mickey Mantle piece. The first thing I'd like to show you is Mickey Mantle, of course, had a number of records in World Series, but the one that I think people think of most is his 18 World Series home runs. And I have in this piece, it's probably about 40 by 30 inches, we have the great Mickey Mantle with that great stride of his, and surrounding the piece are the tickets from every World Series game Mantle hit a home run in.
Oh, wow.
And I think people always enjoy that one. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. I try to add to my, every time I do a display. So the next piece, if we could show with Mantle.
Do you want me to bring up a different one?
Yeah, if you could bring up the next Mantle piece.
Hold on. Let me stop sharing for a second.
Okay. As you can see, the one to the right is the same sort of concept, except we added the autographs of every pitcher at a home run during the World Series. And of course, when you're in the World Series, you're going to go after the best pitchers. So you got Koufax and Magway and Gibson. The first one was in ¡52 against Billy Lowe's.
Whoops.
And okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm much worse at this. I have no idea. What I found fascinating about Mickey Mantle, who was my father's hero, was during the shows, whether it be at the Matatuck Museum or my later show at the Polo Grounds here in New York, many people would come up to me and said, I hated the Yankees, but I loved Mickey Mantle. And when you think about it, you don't often get that often. Maybe Derek Jeter, maybe Michael Jordan, but usually when you hate a team, you hate the whole team. But I think it just shows about Mickey Mantle's charisma and how much he was loved by so many people. He, as flawed a guy as he was.
Is that the one you were looking for? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. It's hard to tell, but the autographs are underneath each of the ticket of the pitcher that he hit the home runs off of. So the top left would be Billy Lowe's, and it goes all the way around to the last one being Bob Gibson at '64. His last home run. Incidentally, as we know, his 15th home run that tied Babe Ruth was against Sandy Koufax in '63. It's I wish I had more focus in the pieces, but they're really pretty dynamic pieces, I think. And I don't think too many people do exactly what we do.
Neil, if I may,
Sure.
Mantle was my childhood idol, and I
Yeah.
sort of think of that as the good old days.
Yes, I know.
And-
Interesting. My father grew up in Brooklyn, but he was a Yankee fan. I think he just wasn't a good loser, my dad, I think. But he loved Mickey Mantle as well.
Actually, you know, I'm not sharing that. I don't know who is. Is that
I
you,
am.
Alan?
Yeah.
Alan?
That was whoever's. Feel free to interrupt for a question if you like too while I'm doing this.
What Billy Lowe's the pitcher who supposedly said he lost a ground ball in the sun.
Yes, he had a lot of interesting things. As a Brooklyn kid, he one time said he didn't want to win 20 because they'd expect it every year.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
So he's an interesting guy. But you know, looking at that, it's interesting that I wonder if they had the playoff system like they have today, where you had like 2 or 3 rounds before the World Series. First of all, who knows if the Yankees would get to the World Series? But you can almost think Mantle would have had 60 home runs or something if they had so many rounds.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. But anyway, you can see, I think our coming from the art world, presentation is very important to me, and I think our pieces present quite well.
I got a question, Steve, for Neil.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure, go
Neil, I'm
ahead.
curious to know how difficult or how long does it take you to collect all of these different items?
Great
for-
question. And the first thing is too long. In fact, I get the average time I think to do a piece is probably about 9 months. We can sometimes get things done 5 months, 6 months, but there have been a few. I have some that I've been working off of years. But I think that's part of the uniqueness of it is the fact that it takes so long. And if they're not one of a kind, they're pretty damn close to it. The research is quite special. Even today, I've been working on Babe Ruth's 2 3-run World Series home runs in 26 and 28. And I got the tickets, I got the programs, I have some great articles. But what I wanted to add, because I thought it was important, was the umpires. Bill Clem was the umpire in 26, but the 28 game is more interesting because a guy named Cy Furman was the umpire. And why he's important was in the 28 World Series, Babe Ruth was at bat, his second at bat. I think it's Will Sherdell was a pitcher, and he did a quick pitch that would have been a strike 3. After a big argument, Cy Furman declared it was a quick pitch and disallowed it. And then 2 pitches later, Babe Ruth hit his second home run in that game. He would not have hit 3 home runs unless Cy Furman had made that call. And so I felt it was important to give the umpires some credit in that. And it took me a year to get a Cy Furman autograph. And I finally got it. I almost gave up on it, but I got it about 2 weeks ago. So the piece now is going into production. I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, they take long. And sometimes I get commissioned pieces besides just doing them on my own. I'm getting more and more commissioned. And I know I make sure when I tell them, my clients is you got to know it's going to take months and months. But what I do is I usually call them every 6 weeks and let them know where it goes, where progress is, and keep them involved in the whole process. And I think they enjoy that.
Just real quick, what are the various sources of where you can get this memorabilia?
Yeah, it's tough, but I always tell people I get anywhere from the garbage pail in front of your house to the top collections around the country, auctions, private collections, memorabilia shops, just people contacting me with something that their father had for years, or their grandfather had, or their uncle had. So you get lucky sometimes, but it does take a lot. And of course, authentication is very important. I'm an attorney. We use James Spence, and we've been very fortunate. Most of our things have been accurate, but I'm glad he's found 2 or 3 times where he's told us we had a fake or something that was a secretarial signature. And we have to take it out. I did, by the way, as you're looking at the mantelpiece, I did two others, similar concept. I did all the World Series home runs by Lou Gehrig, and I did all the World Series home runs by Joe Dimaggio. And in my Lou Gehrig piece, he told me that the Gehrig signature was not right. And of course, that's a pretty big financial hit, but I knew I was going to get my money back. What I was more concerned about was the 4 months it took to get a Gehrig signature, just delayed the whole thing. But these are all part of the process. They give me a headache. Oh yeah, there's the Gehrig. We have all the autographs. That one took a long time. You know, to get a Grover Cleveland Alexander autograph is not only expensive, it's tough to get. But one thing I want to point out, I wish I'd given you a close-up of the image of Lou Gehrig. That is not a photograph. That's actually a painting by an artist named Adam Port, who we use on occasion. And what's interesting is when we tell people at our shows that that's not a photograph, they just can't believe it. It looks so. He does what they call photorealism, and it's really an interesting addition to our pieces, because the image is very important, I think, to set the tone for the piece. And that took a long time. That one is now in one of the reasons I think I like to do museum shows is when my clients or collectors acquire these pieces, the only chance I get to look at them again is at these shows. So they're kind enough to allow me to put them in these museum shows, because of course, I don't think I could do this Lou Gehrig one again. It would be really hard.
Neil, if I may, Steve here, do you have any images of the famous play from the 55 series when Jackie stole home and Berra and to the end that he was out?
No, it's very interesting you bring it up. First of all, we have a 55 Dodger piece. It's 2 above where you are currently. Who's ever doing the, if you get the 55 Dodger piece that I did, it's
I'm
up.
looking for it.
It's a little bit up. It's like 4 up from where you are now. It's closer to the
number
top.
11.
All right. Okay, you passed it. It's right there, right there. Yes. If you could show that to the crowd here. Okay, that's our 55 Dodger piece. Now, believe it or not, we are working on another one, and we will have that Jackie Robinson image in the piece, which is of course an iconic image. And of course, Yogi went to his grave thinking he was out, and Jackie went to his grave thinking he was safe. So it's interesting. In this particular piece, celebrating the 55 Dodgers, the only time they win the World Series, we have the autograph of every player who was on that team. We have all 7 ticket stubs. My favorite part of it, and I don't think you could do enlarge it, but on the upper right corner are the addresses of where all the players live and their phone numbers. And unlike today, where they make tons of money, most of them were rooming with each other and lived fairly close to the ballpark. Jackie Robinson's one of the exceptions because he was living in Connecticut, I think Stamford at that time. Also, the phone numbers were interesting. I used to like as a kid watching The Honeymooners, and I always remember them going Murray Hill, something, something. Their phone numbers would have like letters to begin it, like MU for Murray Hill, and some of the other letters to indicate different parts of New York City. So I thought that was interesting. Another part that I loved about this piece, besides the press passes, is the to the right of the last ticket, Game 7, we have a funeral card, a procession of the Dodgers taking the Yankees to the funeral home, and they mention all the people who were the pallbearers and all the other names. It was kind of a fun little thing. A lot of these items cost a lot of money, but sometimes a piece under $250 or $300 can actually be a fun part and a great addition as well. And for the Dodger fans, I think this is at least the Brooklyn Dodger fans, this is their one great moment.
Can you show Neil the Larson piece that you mentioned?
Okay, the Larson piece is, if you go, you about 3, 4, right there you go, Don Larson piece. Now, of course, in our last show, by the way, I sent video tours of my 2 shows to the Mattatuck Museum and the Polo Grounds, which is at the Marshall Mill Museum, to Alan or some of the people at your at the SABR group, at your SABR group, which everybody can look at if they like. But here is the Don Larson perfect game, and of course he passed away. sadly, during my stay there. So we got big crowds. Now, on the upper left hand, it's too bad I can't have the larger images, is a full ticket. Nobody went to that game. And in the memorabilia world, and that, of course, is exponentially more expensive than a cup ticket. And we don't know the real reason. We've heard rumors that it was given to a postman who meant to go to the game. He couldn't get to the game, and he couldn't get anybody to take the ticket at the last moment. So that, I don't know if that's, I haven't gotten it validated, but I think that's pretty amazing that we have a full ticket to the game. And I put it in the upper left-hand area as sort of giving you entrance to the game. I thought that was the right spot for it. Now, what's really fascinating about the piece is, besides the ticket, I always like to have scored programs when I can. Not scored programs that were done 10 years later where somebody filled it out, but somebody at the game with all the little mistakes and cross outs and things like that. I want to put my client or the patrons looking at it right into the game. But what's fascinating about this one, and I don't think you can see, it's signed by Ed Sullivan.
Oh.
So now the question becomes, is it that Ed Sullivan? Well, I sent it. I don't know if you put it. I had an image of Ed Sullivan at the game. I have photographic showing that he's signing these score sheets. And so we got photographic evidence that Ed Sullivan was indeed at the game. And also James Spence said, yes, it is by Ed Sullivan. So I just think he was a sports writer at that time. Another interesting aspect, of course, Babe Pinelli, the umpire, that's he makes the call. Who made the final out again?
Dale Mitchell.
Dale Mitchell, that's right. And we have Dale Mitchell's autograph. And of course, people always question of whether it was outside or not. But Babe Pinelli fittingly retired at the end of the game. What better way for anybody to retire? Usually think of a ball player retiring, but for an umpire, having a perfect game scored that you umpire, that must be a great way to end. Now, the most fascinating part of this for me is if you look just north of the Daily News newspaper on the left side, it's hard to see, but there's Don Larson signing a baseball. Now, who is he signing the baseball to? I always ask people at the game, and I know here it's a little bit tough. I don't know if you could expand that, but believe it or not, that's Walter O'Malley. He is getting a signed baseball by Don Larson. And my first thought was, I can't imagine George Steinbrenner asking Pedro Martinez for his autograph if Martinez did a perfect game against the Yankees. I just can't see that. But, and then I thought to myself, maybe this indicates, it's one of the first indications that Mr. O'Malley is going to move the Dodgers out of Brooklyn, because he's showing some financial savvy. Because if we could ever find that ball, I don't know what it's worth, but it's got to be worth a lot of money. And maybe O'Malley understood that. I don't know, but I thought that was an interesting aspect. Another thing that was fun about this piece was on the upper right corner, we have the scoreboard. And during my Polo Grounds show, I did a lot of things about the Polo Grounds, but on the upper right, you can't see, I think, but it mentions the New York Giants are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers at 2:00, I think, about a week later. And believe it or not, that's the first football game the New York Giants will be playing at Yankee Stadium. And that may be one of the first advertisements. They had played at the Polo Grounds until 55. The New York Football Giants, just let you know. So I thought that was a little interesting thing. And of course, with the Daily News image, the original Daily News from that point. And of course, we wanted to show Mickey Mantle's great catch against Ross Hodges, I think in the 5th inning, to preserve the perfect game. So a lot of stuff going on in there, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what to put in, what not to. But I think that was a fun, interesting, exciting piece, and it got a lot of attention. Now, if we think about perfect games, you could, yeah, that's fine. When you think about perfect games, besides Don Larson, we could talk about Sandy Koufax, and Sandy Koufax's perfect game. Of course, he pitched against Bob Henley, who pitched probably what his best game. It was a one-hitter. Many people call it the greatest game ever pitched. And it was, I think, September 9th, 1965 against the Cubs. And again, we have the scored program, which, scored programs actually are expensive items, but I just feel they're very important. The ticket from the game. We took the autograph of everybody from the Cubs and the Dodgers. Of course, we have Vince Scully making his famous call in a record form. We got that record. It does the 9th inning of Koufax perfect game. Ron Fairley, I think, is the only person who got a hit that game. And so we have him in there. Henley, we have Vince Scully in it. And again, that image that you see, it's hard to tell here, but that's not a photograph. That's a painting, again, by Adam Port, showing the ninth inning, that famous scoreboard shot of Koufax. I don't remember who the batter is, but it's in the ninth inning. And it's just, I think, a great piece. And that found an owner fairly quickly. It seems like, and it's not a surprise, Mantle and Koufax get the most attention, I think, by my clients.
And Neil, what's the record there in the center?
That's Vince Scully calling the ninth inning. It's in record form.
Okay.
So it's yeah, but we thought it was just a fun piece to put in, and we put it near Vince Scully in image to try to connect it to.
And Neil, excuse me,
Sure.
on the left side, can you tell us about that yellow poster looking?
Oh, that's the front. That's actually the front of the program.
Okay.
Of it. And it was very colorful program, actually. And we separated the scorecard in the center, and we put it above the program, so it's connected to the program, which it's part of.
Okay.
No, those are good questions. You could any image you put up, I could talk about it. Does it? Okay, that's one.
Do you have any stuff for Yogi?
Well, actually, we have. I'm working on. I've done as I said, the World Series home runs for Gehrig, Dimaggio, and Mantle. I'm working on Yogi, but we also have Yogi is in the Don Larson piece. Of course, we have that image, a small image of him jumping into the hand, jumping into Larson's hands, which is iconic image. But no, Yogi's on my list of something to do, something special. I have a bunch of things I'm working on. He's certainly one, and he certainly should be. Now, here is the 61 Yankees, the great team. And of course, we have the autograph of all the players, the 5 tickets as they beat the Reds in 5 games, the program you would have gotten in New York, the program you would have gotten in Cincinnati. And of course, we feature Mantle and Maris. What I would like to say is if you look at Maris's image, that is actually, I think he's looking toward one of the images. I don't know if it's that one, but maybe it was in the other piece, but he's looking toward the monuments where Babe Ruth is. And you can almost see the pain he's going through as he's taking on Babe's record during that time. He had a real challenge to do that. And of course, we're working on a 61 piece showing the race between Mantle and Maris as we speak, actually. That's taken a long time. But that was one of the great home run races of all time.
Neil is definitely the master at detail in these pieces. I've seen, I don't know how many pieces that he's done, and
it's a great question. I think I've done close to 50 now, but I wish I could I wish I could have done 50 more. They just take so long. And now, if you look at this piece, you can see again this was one of the first pieces we ever did, and this is all the autographs of Maris. Now, what's interesting about it, we have the Sal Durante kid who's giving the ball, and of course he wanted to give the ball to Maris. Maris said, "Look, you can do better than I can," which is a nice gesture, and I think he got about $5,000 for it, and it paid for his honeymoon and a house, I think. Of course, his first home run was against Paul Foytak, and the last one against Tracy Stallard. But I think again, there is the image I think I was alluding to of him staring at at Babe Ruth's memorial or whatever, and you can see you can just feel the pressure he's under as he's taking on Babe Ruth's record.
Okay, I'm gonna put up a Red Sox game.
Go ahead. Okay, that's I have well, that's not a good day for the Red Sox, but it was a great day for me. I was a freshman. I think I have a better image of it that I might have sent you, showing the whole scope of the piece. Anyway, in 1970, and I think Mr. Wares was at this game actually. But in 1978, of course, the Yankees and Red Sox finished tied, and the Yankees came from way back, and and I think they actually took the lead, but then the Red Sox came in near the end to tie them, and they win the coin flip, and the game is played at Fenway. I'm a freshman at the University of Wisconsin, go Badgers, and I was watching this game with a couple of Red Sox fans, and when Bucky Dent hit the home run, I still remember Yaz sort of crumpling in left field, like he couldn't believe it. And I think that was a turning point. Of course, that wasn't. It's many people call it the second most important playoff home run. It wasn't quite as dramatic as Bobby Thompson, because of course there was still plenty of game to go on. But what I did in my piece was I have, and I don't usually do it. I did baseball cards from '78 of all the players who played in that game, autographed by the players who played in that game for the Yankees and the Red Sox. We had the ticket, and what you're looking at is a long note that Bucky Dent wrote and Mike Torres wrote about that moment, which is in the center of the piece, which I thought was pretty interesting. And what also I did, of course, I kept the '78 cards uniform. I didn't want to change for example, Bob Lemon actually started the year as a manager, I believe, of the Indians, and a few other players were traded during the year. So the cards, some of them aren't just Yankees and Red Sox. Of course, that's who they played with at that particular game. But it was one of the more exciting baseball games I remember. And the Yankees went on to the World Series.
Oh, Neil.
Yes. And by the way, as I said, in my in the videos that you guys can look at, you'll see all these pieces and a little bit more detail from me, perhaps, on each piece and what I did. So, if you don't, you can certainly see the whole piece in those videos.
Here is a couple of pictures of Neil. You might
there
want to talk about the two Giants.
Say that again, sorry.
We have two New York Giants teams.
Oh, yes. Well, you got to remember when I did the Polo Grounds show, which was a big challenge for me. It was at the Morris Jamel Museum, and I never even heard of the Morris Jamel Museum. I don't know if you guys have, but it's sometime you got to get down there. It's the oldest building, oldest home in New York City. It was actually George Washington's headquarters during the Revolutionary War. And Lynn Miranda wrote the play Hamilton, two weeks worth anyway, sitting in Aaron Burr's chair.
Yes.
Yes. So anyway, they called me up and they said, of course I get these, I'm always getting these museums have no money, so I do everything. But they said to me, Neil, can you do a Polo Grounds show? And I wow, I was very flattered by it. And of course I said yes. But then I had to do my research, and boy, there's a lot of history there. Because you think of I always say the Ebbets Field gets a lot of attention, and justifiably so. It's the boys of summer, but I think the Polo Grounds gets short shrift a little bit, and they had not just one professional team, but 5. The New York Giants football team played there. The New York Mets started there. The New York Jets started there, and the New York Yankees don't become the New York Yankees until 1913, the first year they're at the Polo Grounds. They were the Highlanders before that. So I did my best I could with just 7 months to put it together. And the piece behind that strange guy is the New York Giant football team. 1938, they won the NFL championship, and it was kind of neat because when I did it, one of the interesting things with this site was the fact that they played teams called the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And of course, you realize how important baseball was, because they would try to piggyback off of baseball back then. The NFL, as popular as it now, was a fledgling league back then. And if the Mariners bought the Giants, I believe in 25 for $500, and that was worth, I don't know, a couple billion, $3 billion. But it's funny, it wasn't until the last game of the 25 season when Red Grange came into town and they filled it up at 70,000 that the Mariners thought they had, something here. And the other thing that was interesting was the sizes of the players. There was a guy named Tarzan White who played from University of Alabama, played guard for the Giants at 5'9". And if you look at the guy, if you were 210, 215, you were big. The only thing that I could see of similarity between between football players today and then was if your name was Ox Perry, you had to be an offensive lineman. There was actually a guy named Ox Perry, I think from like Texas Wesleyan or something like that, who played a lineman for the Giants. And I figured if he was around today, he'd still be playing lineman because you have a name like that. What other position can you play?
Oh, Neil, I wanted to, reminisce a little about
Sure.
that program you did at the Mattatuck Museum in Waterbury, because our own Bill Reisick was the MC for it.
Yes.
David Scrivens, who's on this call, was on the
Oh,
panel.
great.
And Dom Amore, who many
Yes,
of us know from the Hartford Current, and certainly others. So
and also, and Bob Wares was very important putting that together. So I got to
that's
give him
right,
credit too.
for sure, absolutely. So I hope you'll be able to do more of these kinds of displays.
I hope so. And by the way, if you guys ever have any thoughts or connections with any museums or anything that you feel, or colleges or anything, I'm game to it. I don't have as many pieces that I'd like, but I'm getting more and more clients. But I'm always willing to do things like that.
Do you have more footage here of Casey Stengel?
I don't think I have anything of Casey Stengel in these things other than which would I have with Casey Stengel? No, it wasn't. I don't think I have anything with Casey Stengel in these things, but I should. So that's my fault. As much as I do, there's still more things to be done.
No, you do really good work.
Thank you. No, I we get a lot of good attention. I've been on, I even have podcasts and radio shows. The funny thing is I couldn't get the New York media to see it, which bothered me, but I got most of the rest of the country to come to the show. There's still some more pieces. You can press that. I don't know what that is. Is that, okay. Just to show that I do things other than New York centric, I did a piece on the '68 Tigers, and here you can see. It was actually a triptych. There were two other pieces, but you can see you can kind of see my formula a little bit. I like to get the autographs of every player. I like to get all the tickets. I actually have a couple of Stroh's beer signs that were used showing the Tigers, and the famous play where Flood doesn't, I think, slide, and he's called out at home play. In this particular part. So, I tried to, I'm also, what am I working on now? I'm working on the 1946 St. Louis Cardinals. I think they beat the Red Sox that year. So I'm working on a piece for St. Louis Cardinal fans. And as obviously as you go earlier and earlier, it's harder and harder. I think there's some. I think we might have missed something. If you go up a little bit further up, I think there are a couple that we missed.
Neil, do you have your piece on Yaz?
I do. I didn't send it. I still have that piece. Actually. Now, I don't know if you can see behind me. If you look behind me, can you see the piece behind me? I don't know if, how that works from your end.
I don't have it here, but that's an interesting one.
With the one behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you what's going on. We call and perhaps I could maybe if I push it back. I don't know if that makes you see it better, but that's Roger Maris breaking Babe Ruth's record, and what you see is on the upper left-hand corner is an image of Maris hitting the 60th home run. On the upper right, you see an image of Roger Maris hitting the 61st home run signed by Maris. But dead upper center is the great Babe Ruth, and that ticket below Babe Ruth is from 1927, Babe Ruth's 60th home run. Now below, in the two middle sections on the left and the right, are the programs for Maris's 60th home run scored by somebody at the game, and a 61st home run scored by somebody at the game. And also in the 61st is signed by Tracy Stallard and Sal Durante. And then I have the tickets from the 60th and 61st. So it's a really a real full image of Roger Maris breaking Babe Ruth's record. I don't think anybody could do that one.
Mm. And
Now,
Neil,
I think, go ahead.
nicely done with what you did with the Tigers.
Yeah, thank you. I
Well
feel like,
done.
you know, I want to, for me, first of all, I enjoy because oh, you know what? Go up one more. I'm going to show you possibly the most important piece I ever did. Go down, go down two. Yeah, that's one.
Cemeteries?
This one's probably the most important piece I ever did. The 1927 Yankees. And it's too bad I can't, make it a little more focused. But I did it like a baseball field. So the top row is Musial, Combs, and Ruth. The second row is Dugan, Koenig, Lazari, and Gehrig. Then on the left side, I have the catchers, and the right side, I have the pitchers. And then I have the 4 ticket stubs as I swept the Pirates, the program, and a check issued to, oh, God. It's signed by Rupert and by the general manager, Burrow, signed by Burrow and Rupert. But it's made out to, the name, let me see, I wish I could expand it. If you could find the name. Anyway, it took me a while to find out who the guy was, and it was issued to, and I can't remember right now. It's killing me. But he was a scout for the Yankees, and he signed guys like Bill Dickey. And it's issued for, like, I think $250, which is a lot of money back then, I think. So in my dream, that check is used for him to sign Bill Dickey, but I know that's just my own thought. And also we have the press pass. Now, one of the things I point out was at my show that I don't think they do at most shows is handwriting and penmanship. If you could ever see the images, I'm going to make it a little bigger for myself, but the images are incredible. The writing is incredible back then. And we know Gehrig had a little bit of college at Columbia. Combs went to Eastern Kentucky, and Benny Bengow went to Niagara, but most of these guys were not college guys. But you could see how much penmanship was important back then. And the other thing I do is I do a close-up of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig signatures. If you kind of push it up, and you can see Babe Ruth is bold and dynamic, and Gehrig is sort of shy and elegant, and you can almost feel different personalities based by the handwriting that I don't think people bring up much in sports shows. And I do. So I try to have fun with different elements that you might not necessarily see at a baseball show.
Here's an interesting one as art.
Oh, yes. This is at the show. As an art dealer, I've been working with a number of artists, and this is a gentleman named Gary Urbe, and he Adam Porter, two artists I use, and Gary Urbe does. He's a little bit more impressionist than Adam Porter's, more photorealism, but Gary does these like almost, he calls them levitation art or whatever, where the piece is sort of floating in there, and this is his Yankee piece.
Nice.
And yes, now if you go up, let me see, like two more up from where you are. One more. Yeah, this is to show you. Yeah, you can press that one. This is the Joe Dimaggio World Series home run piece. Unfortunately, when it came to the Matatuck Museum, it was damaged a bit. The glass broke, but that happens. And I had to spend a long time to replace the image, which is a great image of Dimaggio hitting a home run in the World Series. I believe that might be the Polo Grounds, but I'm not 100% sure. And of course, those are all the tickets for his 8 World Series home runs. And the autograph of the pitchers are underneath them. And that's my Dimaggio one. The Gehrig was the hardest to put together of the World Series home run pieces. I don't know what we have on the top. Oh, yeah, you got to have put the one above the Dimaggio. That's one we didn't do. Yeah, this one is really special. When you really think of Dimaggio, you don't think of his World Series home runs. You think of his 56-game hitting streak in 1941. And here you see it's hard to tell, but those are the autographs of every pitcher he hit a home run off of not a home run, got a hit off of in 1956. And when you think about it, 4 of them were Hall of Famers. He hit them off of Bob Feller, Hal Newhouser, Lefty Groh, and Ted Lyons. Now, what I also have in this piece, it's hard to tell, but I had the ticket from game 45, which broke Willie Keeler's record. I believe it was against the Red Sox, and he hit a 3-run home run off a guy named Dick Newsom, I believe. And the other part on the right hand side, you see the program and scored program from the game that broke his record. And of course, the people who were helpful in knocking him out was the pitchers Al Smith and Jim Bagby. Lou Boudreaux made a great play, but of course you think of Kenny Keltner making a couple of great plays. And what's interesting when I did the research, in game 18 on June 1st, I think 1941, Keltner was playing in a hard smash by Dimaggio sort of went off his glove. So when he played Dimaggio in this game, he sort of played further back of third base, and that may have helped him make those great plays. I don't know. Also, that game, the funny thing was the game before was played in League Park, I believe it's called, with 15,000 people, and that Dimaggio continued the streak. The next day they played at the Cleveland Stadium with like 64,000, and that's where the streak broke. And of course, Dimaggio, I think after that game had another 14 or 15 games that he hit in. So one of the things I heard, I think from Marty Appel, maybe who's always nice about my pieces. I don't know if he said it or somebody else, but Dimaggio was a little bit distraught because he had a deal, I think, with Heinz 57 if he got another hit for the 57th game, and of course he didn't.
I've heard that before, yeah.
So yeah, this was a special piece, and of course it started with Eddie Smith, and it ended. Wait, who made? I think it was. Oh yeah, Eddie Smith was where he got his first hit, and Joe Krukowskis was, I think he got his 56 game hitting streak. But then the next day, Eddie Smith and Jim Bagby Jim Bagby and Al Smith broke his streak.
Do you have any Ted Williams shots?
I do. I have. I don't know if I gave it to you. I thought I sent you one we call it the Green Monster Heroes, and we have a picture of Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, and Jim Rice, and we have a piece of the Green Monster, an actual part of the scoreboard, and we have part of the netting above Fenway Park. I don't know if it's there. I thought I sent it to you. And then we did another.
We have this display from.
Oh yeah, we did a little bit of that's another part of the Red Sox, was at the Matatuck. But my display with Green Monster Heroes was pretty neat. We also did a thing on the 100 years of Fenway Park when its centennial was a few years back, and we had a bunch of stuff. And Ted Williams was certainly an important component of that particular display.
Neil, where are those seats from?
Those seats were donated. I think that from those are from Yankee Stadium, I believe. At least the one in the center is. I think the museum themselves had some benefit. Oh, by the way, you can see the Yaz piece against the wall in that piece next to Yaz. Yeah, right there. It's hard to tell, but we do a little piece on Carl Yastrzemski there. And of course, that was a little bit more stuff, donations that the museum got from people in the Waterbury area, I believe.
It looks like a Cooperstown kind of display.
Yes, well, you know what? People, a lot of people called my stuff New York City's Cooperstown, which was a, very exciting and flattering remark. And also, by the way, if you look at the piece, the picture that's right above the two of me, yeah, that one. So, I'm an art dealer, and I have an artist named Ben Gans who did New York City scenes of the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. But I thought this was really neat because it shows Yankee Stadium and the Polo Grounds.
Yeah.
And it was it was one of the more popular pieces at the recent Polo Grounds show.
One stop away from each other on the D train.
Yeah, it's amazing how close. I didn't really understand. I still haven't got an explanation when McGraw wanted to get the Yankees out because he was getting annoyed with Babe Ruth getting all the attention and their attendance falling to the Yankees. How in the world does he allow them to go basically across the street? I don't understand that. It must be a story of New York City politics, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't think that was the smartest move to do.
Yeah.
So and I could have sent you more. I didn't realize, I thought we had enough, but anyway, I'd be happy hopefully in the future to have you guys at one of my events or have one of your meetings at one of my events.
Sounds like a plan. Where are you based, Neil?
Right now, I'm talking to you from my small studio on 54th and 2nd. My studio, I have two studios, one I use to live in and one I use, as a matter of fact, one thing that I'm working on right now that you guys might find interesting is one of my clients is from El Paso, Texas. And there wasn't too much that happened there other than the 66 basketball team from Texas Western.
Oh, yeah.
But they had two Jewish brothers who made it to the major leagues named Andy and Sid Cohen. And I'm doing a piece on Andy and Sid Cohen. And actually, I don't know if you can see this. I'm showing you, this is a picture of Andy Cohen as the Giants were trying to get a Jewish ball player, and they got one. He actually replaced Roger Hornsby at second base, and he had two pretty good years. But what's fascinating is here is I don't know if you can see it. This is an original New York Times from April 12th, 1928. And on opening day, Cohen was a star. He got three hits. And the New York Times starts off with this. They carried Andy Cohen on their shoulders around Polo Grounds yesterday. They rushed down on the field after the game, 1,000 strong and eager. Friendly hands reached for him. They grabbed him and holstered him high and higher. And then Andy Cohen was perched on the shoulders of New York fandom. In fact, you might say with truth that Andy Cohen was sitting on top of the world. I thought this was pretty interesting. It also mentions here, Andy Cohen took New York by storm. He captured the hearts of 30,000 fans as only Ruth or Walter Johnson could grip them. Next week, the same fans may boo him just as readily and enthusiastically. But I thought this was such a cool article, and I try to get original newspapers when I can. They even show a picture of Roger Hornsby and Andy Cohen. He actually had two decent years with the Giants, batting about 290, but he got injured. And his brother Sid is actually, and by the way, they both were stars at El Paso High School. They both got scholarship to the University of Alabama, where they played football as well as baseball. And Sid Cohen is more known for being the last strikeout that Babe Ruth had in 1934 with the Yankees, and also the last home run was hit off of Sid Cohen when he pitched against the Yankees. So I'm having fun trying to put it together.
Got another one here.
Okay,
this is my team.
Okay. The Mets. Okay, it's not the best image that I have, but what you see
that
there,
was the one I took. So.
Oh, that's sorry. It's a great image. It's a great image. Sorry, but anyway, that deals with the '86 Mets, and of course, that was the famous Bill Buckner moment. And we have all 7 tickets. We have tickets from opening day, from the day they won the pennant. We have actually a chair from the back of a chair from Shea Stadium, which adds a lot of color to the piece. We have, autographs of all the players on it. One of my friends, or I think, and we worked on some things, and I don't know if you've had him on your show, is Art Shamsky, the '69 Mets. So he's a nice man. And so, when you think about it, the '69, '86 are only 2 times the Mets won. And I think the Mets should play them up a little bit more than they do. But with the Yankees, you got problems because you got so many.
O'Neill, when you mentioned about Jewish players for the Giants, that I think Harry Danning was Jewish also.
You're correct. You're
the
correct.
Catcher.
Yes. There've been a few. I think actually recently, you can almost argue has been a golden age for Jewish ball players. The most recent years with Braun, of course, he with the steroids sort of tarnished him a little bit. But you got Bregman, you got Jock Peterson, you've got Max Fried, the pitcher for the Braves. They're about, I'm missing, but they're about 3 or 4 others. So, and decent ball players.
Yeah, Sean Green was Jewish also.
Sean Green was definitely, and he, I think he had 4 home runs in one game at one time.
Yes, 19 total bases.
Yeah, I think he ended up at the Mets at the end of his career. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
but you know. So hopefully you guys enjoying this.
No, this
By
was
the
great.
way,
Thank
I
you.
have a picture of Shamsky.
Okay.
This is just, I'll put it up to the screen here.
Oh, there he is. He's a really nice guy.
I did get his autograph on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
that looks that.
This one was from 2012 when
Okay.
they had the Mets conference at Hofstra.
Okay.
They had him there. They had Eddie Kranepool,
Yeah.
Buddy Harrelson, Ed Charles, who was just
Yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful man.
Oh yeah.
They had me doing a presentation, and in another room was this guy named Thorne, who I'll never forget, who I'll never forgive being my opposition that day.
Oh, yeah.
He got the crowd, I didn't.
Yeah, well, it's fun. The first time I met Art Shamsky, he comes into my gallery and he says, do you mind if I make a phone call? And I said, go ahead, you know. So he goes in the corner, he goes, hey, Boz, it's Sham. I spoke to Coos and the glider yesterday. I'm thinking I'm not supposed to hear this. This should be a private. I think I'm hearing like inside information. But that was my first time. I always felt Art. I thought like, wow, I'm hearing this incredible conversation of the great Mets teams. You know?
I enjoyed the Shamsky book about the 69 reminiscences and their visit to see Seaver before he passed.
Yeah. You know, like I said, he was very busy this year because he also wrote a new book about he sadly you know, with Tom Seaver's passing, he went out there with Harrelson and Koosman to his vineyard and they reminisced and he wrote a book about what that World Series meant, I think, to him and his teammates back then. And you know, he's actually, I think, the glue of that 69 team. He seems to be the one who cares about keeping the guys together. Sounds like that to me.
In fact, I was struck by the way Koosman got so much of the attention that I think he richly deserved.
Yeah, well, he was well, you know, it was Seaver and Koosman, but you're right. Seaver was, you know, certainly a little bit just his look like a baby, you know, and he was a when you think of the Mets, you think of Seaver.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. But Coos right there.
Yeah, he is.
And he had a decent career after he left the Mets.
Yes, he did.
I've often thought about Rube Walker, who was the pitching coach for that team, and the innings he got out of Koosman, Ryan, and Seaver. Think how many career innings those three guys threw, all pitching for Rube Walker.
Yeah, well, you know, it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting if Nolan Ryan had stayed on that team.
Well, the Mets endless search for a decent third baseman.
Yeah. Got Mr. Fergozzi.
Oh, yeah. Tom Anito, how we doing on time? Could we go some more?
We've actually exceeded our Zoom time, but we could go a little bit more if you want. Maybe what time is it? It's about 3 after. You want to go another 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, why don't we do that? And if you like this format, then we could do it again in the future.
And I just want to repeat one last time. This is going out to Facebook, and if I do it right, it will be recorded out there if you ever want to go back and take a look at it again. So, okay, and it's out on the Smoky Joe Facebook site. Okay.
Thank you, Tom. Other questions or comments about for Neil or anything else that we've talked about tonight?
It was interesting. You mentioned Lin-Manuel Miranda a few minutes ago. Miranda also went out to Cooperstown to research the play Hamilton.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went to the Fenimore to experience the exhibit on the duel between
what?
Burr and Hamilton.
Oh,
He went. The Fenimore has an exhibit on the Burr Hamilton duel. They have spots on the floor that approximate how far away from each other they were. And in several interviews, he's spoken many times about how I didn't realize they were that close.
You know, it's funny. You know, one of the sad things that happened at the Polo Grounds is Carl Mays killing Ray Chapman. And I tried to find out what the distance was between the duel was. And my idea was for a promotion for the show was to show Hamilton shooting and Carl Mays throwing the ball at Hamilton and see who would kill him. And I guess they didn't like that idea, but I thought it would have been a good promotion. But I think that the duel was actually, I think, even closer than home plate to pitcher's mound.
Very much so. Yes, I was there. And somewhere in the family archives, I've got pictures of my stepdaughter and stepson on each dot dueling. So yeah, they were very, very close. It's very interesting to say.
Which one won?
About it in interviews. It's kind of cool.
Who won the duel?
Nobody. Nobody.
Good.
One died, the other was the pariah.
Steve, it's Dixie.
Go ahead.
I have a question for Neil.
Please go ahead, Dixie.
Out of the 100 questions I could ask, how difficult was it to find and then get 4 tickets to the 1927 World Series?
It wasn't easy. That took about 6-7 years to put it all together. But believe it or not, I'm working on another one, and I have 4 tickets again. And that one I got luckier because they were sold as a package, which very rarely happens. So sometimes you get lucky with that, and sometimes you have to just look like for heck like to get them. And then you know, when they come available, you're usually competing against other people. So you don't usually, you know, it could be very costly. And it's one of those teams that's just so important that if you could do it, you do it. At least that's how I feel.
Has there ever been an item that you thought would be fairly easy to get and suddenly it just wasn't there?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that. You know, sometimes the hardest items to get are like, are not that, look, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig you could get. It's just going to cost you a fortune. Sometimes it's the second tier and third tier players that are hard to get that might have only lasted a year or something. And I like to complete my pieces. So those sometimes are harder to get. But like I said, the Cy Furman umpire thing was so hard to get. I couldn't believe I finally got one through somebody. But what I'm working on now, and it's funny, you guys brought up, somebody brought up Sacred Heart basketball. So I feel I could interject my Mount Vernon High basketball. Let's produce 11 NBA players. And I grew up with Scooter and Rodney McRae, if any of you guys remember them. Yeah. What's one thing that's kind of fun about Mount Vernon history is that, of course, I said Ralph Brankham and Ken Singleton. The interesting thing that people don't know is that the Singletons bought the Brancos home. So it went from one MLB player to another MLB family. And I always tell people the reason I didn't make the major leagues wasn't because I didn't have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball or could hit a 90-mile pitch. It's that my parents bought the wrong house in Mount Vernon, you know. So who knows? But anyway, growing up in Mount Vernon also helped me, I think, enjoy all the great sports. And my father's a boys high guy with Connie Hawkins, Sayuga Green. So I guess sports has always been, you know, part of my passion. And I'm glad I was finally able to find a niche to put it into play. And I think we found something that, you know, it's been done to some degree by other people, but we think we have it at the highest level. And I think most people agree with us.
I remember Connie Hawkins. Yeah.
It would have been interesting if he had played in the NBA in his good years.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or even got to play in college.
Yeah, I think he went to Iowa, but I don't think he ever played anything.
They kicked him off the team though. Yeah.
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 I think Don Nelson was with Iowa at that time when he went there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, how about if we wrap things up and thank Neil for a nice presentation, and thank you, Tom and Sarah, for running the tech for us. And we'll do this again, and hopefully we'll eventually be able to get back in person.
Yeah. I think it's coming.
So,
Hopefully.
I hope
Knock
so.
on wood.
So,
Sounds good.
thanks everybody, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you guys for letting me come and join you guys tonight.
Glad you
Great.
did.
Thank
Let's do it again. Maybe you'll do a Jimmy Fox.
Why
thing.
not?
My favorites.
How about doing for us Red Sox fans doing a 2004 one?
You know,
Uh-oh.
that one I'll do. It'll break my heart, but I'll do it.
I think I'll boycott that one. Sorry, guys. Oh well.
You can run, but you can't hide, Steve.
I know. I'm a New Yorker like you, Neil. So
Okay.
okay. Good work, everybody. Good discussion.
Okay. Thank you
See you
guys.
soon,
Okay,
everybody.
thanks.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Good
Bye-bye.
night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye now.